Must watch. Rich woman ruins cleaner's day, but you won't believe who saw it at 3 a.m. The clock struck 3, casting an eerie glow across the pristine halls of the coveted Willowview Estates. The lavish chandeliers made the shadows dance, but there was no one to witness it except for the woman in the extravagant silk robe. She leaned against the marble counter, her diamonds glistening like stars in a silent sky. Her laughter echoed, a sharp contrast to the stillness around her. A cleaner named Clara, exhausted from a long night, pushed open the door, mopping tool in hand, completely unaware of the storm brewing within those walls. Clara's heart raced as she stepped through the ornate entrance, the polished floors reflecting the luxurious chaos around her. Rich fabrics and expensive trinkets adorned every corner, yet their beauty felt tainted, as if they held secrets darker than their colors. You could feel the tension in the air, thick and suffocating, hanging like a shadow over the glitz. She could almost hear whispers flowing from the other side of the door, each word sharp as daggers. And then she saw it, a brief flash from the corner of her eye. Was it real? Or just the trick of the late hour? Behind the gold-framed mirror, something lurked, a figure? Clara squinted, her fingers trembling on the mop. The chill in the air hinted that she wasn't alone. The house had a pulse, a life of its own. Every creak of the floorboards felt like a warning. "Why is it always me?" she murmured as she scrubbed the floor, desperate to drown out the unease creeping up her spine. Just then, a loud crash echoed down the hallway, freezing her in place. Was that a scream? Her breath caught in her throat. And in the stillness that followed, Clara felt it, the undeniable sense that something was terribly wrong. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Clara's heart thundered in her chest as she edged toward the source of the noise, her eyes wide open, scanning every corner. Just when she thought she'd mustered the courage to advance, the air shifted. It felt heavy, electric. A flicker of movement caught her attention, a shadow darting towards the staircase. She gasped. The solid weight of an unseen presence crushed her resolve. Who or what was in this house? Every instinct screamed for her to run, yet curiosity rooted her feet to the floor. What if something sinister was just a step away? Had the rich woman seen it too? Clara's chest tightened as she recalled the stories, the rumors of a hidden room, of treasures that came with a price. And now, as fear thrummed through her veins, the dangerous reality sank in. What secrets lay behind those walls? What would she uncover if she dared to follow the shadow? And deeper still, the real question lingered: would Clara ever escape the grip of Willowview Estates unscathed? The air crackled with tension as Clara stepped cautiously forward, her hands slick with sweat, the mop dangling loosely at her side. The shadow had vanished, but its presence lingered, an invisible weight on her chest. Each step reverberated through the cavernous space as she approached the staircase, her heart mimicking the heavy thud of her footsteps. With each creak of the old wood, Clara's mind raced. What could she possibly find up there? Thoughts ricocheted in her head: an intruder? A ghost? Or perhaps the woman's dark secrets, hidden in whispers and mournful shadows? She thought about turning back, but a curiosity far stronger than caution pushed her onward. Her eyes darted around the expansive foyer. The chandelier cast ominous reflections on the walls, and the gilded frames felt like eyes watching her. A part of her knew this was insane. She was just a cleaner, a night shift worker trying to make ends meet, but the allure of the mystery was intoxicating. Clara reached the bottom of the staircase. Grappling with her fears, she placed her hand on the banister, feeling the cool, polished wood beneath her fingertips. A swift breath, and she ascended. The steps felt alive, each one groaning underfoot, echoing a warning that sent chills racing down her spine. At the top of the staircase, she paused, peering into the hallway lined with lavishly decorated doors. A flicker of light seeped from one room, a warm glow that beckoned her closer. Was someone in there? Or was it another shadow play? The hesitation almost crippled her, but the urge to uncover whatever lay hidden drove her forward. Clara reached for the door handle, her hand trembling, when suddenly she heard it, a soft weeping, muted yet unmistakable, bleeding through the heavy wood. The sound was raw and haunting, somber like the depths of night. Panic surged through her, threatening to choke her, but she remained frozen before the door. "Hello?" she whispered, unsure if she wanted an answer. There was silence for a moment, then the sobbing intensified, as if the universe itself were mourning a loss that echoed within these walls. Clara's heart ached, and she placed her palm against the door, the warmth radiating back at her. This was no longer just about revealing secrets. A deep-rooted sorrow thrummed through the home, and she felt compelled to understand it. With a deep, shaky breath, she pushed the door open. The hinges protested loudly, breaking the silence like thunder. Inside, the room was dimly lit, draped with lavish fabrics that brushed against her skin, almost alive. And there, at the foot of a grand four-poster bed, knelt the woman in the silk robe, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face, eyes reflecting both despair and hidden fury. "Who are you?" the woman gasped, her voice sharp as broken glass. "What do you want?" Clara stepped inside, her mouth dry, feeling the weight of the unexplained gather around her like an ominous shroud. I heard you crying," she stammered, her instincts screaming that she was crossing a line she couldn't uncross. The woman's eyes blazed with a mix of confusion and something darker. "You shouldn't be here," she hissed. And in that moment, Clara wondered if uncovering the truth was not just dangerous but perhaps a death sentence. That a heavy silence draped over them, filled only with the sound of Clara's racing heartbeat. What lay beneath the surface of this encounter? Who was the woman really? And what had stirred her to such depths of anguish? Before Clara could summon a response, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into darkness. A cold breeze whipped through the room, and Clara felt a terrible presence. She knew she had to get out fast. But the door slammed shut behind her, sealing her fate in a house richer in secrets than gold. Was this night merely the beginning of the end for Clara? Or had she inadvertently stepped into a web she could never escape? Clara's pulse raced, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she turned to the door, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The oppressive silence of the room wrapped around her like a thick fog, closing in tight. Had the woman, did she just slam it? Panic flared within her, crawling up her throat. "Let me out!" she shouted, voice sharp and desperate. The only reply was an echo that mocked her, reverberating against the cold, painted walls. The shadows shifted in the dim light, and Clara's eyes darted around, searching for an escape. The woman still kneeled, her head bowed, shrouded in grief. She felt more than fear, she felt the tug of sympathy for this stranger wrapped in despair. But that understanding was quickly clouded by instincts screaming at her to flee. "Why are you crying?" It was out before Clara could stop herself. It was a question surfacing from an instinct she didn't understand. The woman lifted her head slowly, her eyes glistening with tears and fury. "You think you can just waltz in here and pry open wounds? You have no idea what you're walking into." Her voice rose, trembling with a mix of sorrow and anger. Clara stumbled back, heart echoing her fear. "I didn't mean to intrude." "I just what?" The woman's icy stare penetrated, a crackling spark in the chamber of despair. "Did you come to judge? To gawk at the broken?" The weight of her accusation landed hard. Clara swallowed hard, the lump in her throat blocking any sense of retort. She hadn't come for judgment, only curiosity. But this was no longer just about uncovering truths hidden in the shadows, it was becoming a confrontation, a moment where lives collided. Then, the lights flickered again, straining against the darkness, and Clara felt ice seep into her bones. She could have sworn she saw figures lurking in the far corners of the room, dark shapes shifting just beyond her vision. The atmosphere pulsed with foreboding. "Get away from me," the woman hissed suddenly, her expression twisted with terror. She pointed toward the other side of the room, tremors coursing through her body. What? Clara stammered, instinctively looking in the direction the woman indicated. A shadow flickered in the corner, almost human, almost alive. It was there one moment, gone the next, but the sensation of being watched intensified. Please, I need to escape, Clara yelled, her voice tinged with rising panic. Let me out, just tell me how. You don't want to leave, the woman shouted, voice slicing through Clara's fear. You're meant to stay. You cannot run from what's coming. A chill swept through the room, as though the walls themselves were closing in. As Clara's gaze darted back to the door, it shimmered, like a mirage in a desert, drawing her nearer. But the air thickened with despair, slamming her back against some invisible barrier. Clara's instincts kicked in. She had to think fast. In a split second, she lunged for the nearest window, desperately pushing against it. The glass felt solid, unmovable, but they were in a place where shadows danced with secrets. Maybe there was more to be uncovered here than she understood. What is happening? Clara shouted, her voice raw with urgency. The woman wrapped her arms around herself, her expression shifting as fear took the place of rage. You've awoken something, she whispered, gaze darting to the dark corners once more. Something that hungers. Just as Clara turned back to confront her, the lights flickered out once again, plunging the room into black. She heard a sound, a raspy breath behind her. Her heart raced as she gripped the edge of the window frame, adrenaline swelling in her chest. Shadows loomed all around, and one particular presence felt far too close. She strained to hear, to understand the threat whispered in the darkness, but a deafening silence filled the space, pressing down on her. Was the darkness alive? Was it a force connected to the weeping woman? Clara had stumbled into something she had no hope of understanding. And then she remembered the woman's warning. The presence was not just a shadow, it was something ancient, something that thrived in fear and despair. Before she could react, a figure surged from the darkness, grabbing her wrist. Clara screamed, the noise tearing through the eerie stillness as the grip tightened. She tore free and bolted toward the door once more. But no, this isn't the way out. She had to solve the riddle of the sorrowful spirit before her. With her heart in her throat, Clara spun on the woman. What is it you're hiding from me? And before she could finish, the room trembled as a low, rumbling voice echoed through the darkness, sending a bone-chilling shiver down Clara's spine. Your time is nearly up. Who was this voice, and what did it mean for Clara? The air crackled with unspoken dread as Clara's mind raced. The fear that clawed at her throat made her thoughts scatter like leaves in a tempest. She could barely comprehend the weight of that chilling voice echoing in the confined space. Your time is nearly up. It felt like a death sentence wrapped in ominous mystery. Clara's gaze snapped back to the kneeling woman, who was now clutching her chest, her expression a fragile mix of anguish and belief. Do you understand now? The woman gasped, her breath shaky. It knows, it senses your fear, it feeds on it. The shadows lengthened, swirling like a physical presence around Clara, closing in like predators hunting their prey. There was an unsettling energy, a soup of emotions mixing with the oppressive darkness. Despair clung to the fabric of the room, heavy and suffocating. What knows? Clara shouted, her desperation clawing for clarity amidst the chaos. This wasn't just a haunting, it felt like a reckoning. Was she merely a pawn in a game that had been played long before she stumbled on this scene? The woman's voice trembled as she spoke. The room, the house, it's alive, Clara! You're trapped in its grasp, like so many before you. You triggered something dormant, something that was waiting. Clara's heart thundered in her chest. She had come to investigate a mere rumor, a whiff of forbidden truth, yet now it felt as if she had punched a button, awakening ancient forces best left asleep. Shadows danced hungrily close, almost whispering secrets, just beyond her hearing. In a flash of inspiration, Clara took a step back, her resolve surging. I won't let it take me. Whatever you are, whatever is in the dark, I won't let you win. The words felt like striking a match, igniting a flicker of hope amidst the consuming gloom. The woman's eyes widened, and for a fleeting moment, the sorrow drained from her features, replaced by disbelief. You think you can fight it? It revels in that defiance. But before Clara could respond, a bone-chilling laughter echoed through the room, malicious and taunting, a voice stitched from the shadows creeping just out of sight. Fight, little girl? Such spirit, such fire! But you cannot escape what you have awakened. You wanted the truth, but truths come at a price. Clara's skin prickled. There was a sudden shift in the atmosphere. The air grew heavy, the shadows deepened, and something monstrous lurked beyond. She could sense it, a looming mass of rage and despair, drawing ever closer. It felt ancient and powerful. With every instinct screaming at her to flee, Clara whirled around, searching for any dim light to guide her back to safety. Instead, her eyes fell upon an old mirror hanging crookedly on the wall, reflecting the darkness back at her. A reflection that seemed off. The shadows swirling within it created a distorted version of herself, eyes wide, face twisted in terror. What are you looking for? The voice from the shadows teased, its echo weaving into her thoughts. A way out, a way home? You're home now, Clara. Embrace it. Suddenly, the mirror rippled like water, and from within it, Clara glimpsed an alternate reality, one where shadows reigned and the woman stood rejoined with the sorrow, smiling a haunting smile that didn't reach her eyes. Overcome with dread, Clara staggered back, her mind racing, piecing together a path. Perhaps the truth was in the woman's past, a story woven deeply with the shadows. What happened here? Clara's voice broke through the ominous veil. What binds you to this place? Tell me, and maybe we can end this. The woman hesitated, flickering between fury and fear before her eyes hardened. To confront the darkness, you must first look within. Can you face your own shadows? As the darkness pressed in, threatening to engulf her, Clara's mind reeled. What shadows had she hidden? What terrified truths had she avoided? And the more pressing question, could she unearth them before it was too late? The air crackled as the room held its breath, and the ominous laughter rang out once more. Shadows stirred, hungry, waiting for any crack in her resolve. In that chilling moment of uncertainty, Clara took a deep breath, and with a fiery determination, she pressed forward into the darkness, seeking the truth she feared the most. But as she stepped closer, the room trembled violently, and the darkness began to whirl around her like a raging storm. What revelation awaited her in the swirling abyss? Would she be able to confront her own demons, or would the shadows consume her whole? The whirlwind of shadows engulfed Clara, swirling around her like a living tempest. Panic surged through her veins, yet a flicker of defiance simmered deep within. She wouldn't back down. Not now. Not when she could almost taste the truth. The room contorted around her, its walls bending inwards, as if eager to crush her under the weight of its secrets. The laughter from the darkness morphed into a cacophony of whispers, each one laced with taunts, daring her to turn away. The knee-weakening pressure bore down, but she clenched her fists, willing herself to stand firm. Face your fears, the woman's words echoed in her mind. Look within. Clara tried to channel her racing thoughts into a quest for clarity. She had always avoided discomfort, but this was more than just a personal struggle, it was a fight for survival. Just ahead, the mirror pulsed like a heart, the surface rippling as if something on the other side could sense her intention. The distorted reflection beckoned, inviting her to step closer. Clara hesitated, but the thought of surrendering to her fears was far worse than diving into the unknown. Taking a deep breath, she stepped closer to the mirror. The shadows flared wildly, forming a grotesque face that grinned back at her. What do you seek? It crooned. Redemption? Freedom? Or perhaps, truth? Clara gritted her teeth, pressing forward until her breath mingled with the darkness. I seek who I am, not who you want me to be. Her voice rang out like a challenge, slicing through the chaos. The reflection twisted, and for a moment Clara saw flashes of her past moments of weakness, regret, and pain that had shaped her life. The early morning after her father's death, the crushing weight of her mother's despair, the reckless nights spent partying as an escape. Each memory clawed at her, demanding recognition. Then, The laughter changed, becoming something darker. You want to fight your fate? You think you can rewrite your story? Shadows surged forward, enveloping her in their cold embrace. Clara felt a suffocating grip of fear that tried to claw its way into her heart, to extinguish the ember of resolve that burned within her. I can! She shouted, the words bursting from her like a surge of adrenaline. I'm not running anymore! The air crackled with energy as if the shadows hesitated, recoiling slightly at her declaration. A shimmer caught her eye inside the mirror, a sliver of light just breaking through the oppressive darkness. With fierce determination, Clara reached out, her fingers grazing the surface. It was warm. The warmth pulsed through her, revitalizing her spirit. What are you? She whispered, fear and fascination colliding in her chest. The laughter stuttered, shifting as the shadows hesitated, revealing glimmers of pain that mirrored her own. The face in the glass began to soften, uncertainty flashing in its eyes. Stay out, stay out! A voice called from behind her, the woman's pleading cry. The shadows surged once more aggressive this time, seeking to drag Clara back into the depths from which they came. Struggle isn't enough! The shadowed voice echoed menacingly. You'll always be chained to your fears. Clara felt her heart racing, the weight of that truth threatening to shatter her resolve. But she couldn't give up. She wouldn't allow her history to dictate her present. With all her might, she pressed her palm against the mirror, letting her fears and pains spin into something powerful, something transformative. A glow radiated from her hand, warmth spreading to the shadows that hissed and recoiled. In that charged moment, Clara caught a glimpse of the woman's true form, a twisted reflection of herself, hope buried beneath layers of unprocessed grief. Join me, Clara urged through gritted teeth, her voice steady. We can break free, together! But would the woman listen? Would they unite against the shadows, or would the darkness tighten its grip, eager to snuff out the light of hope? Just as Clara felt the shadows beginning to fracture, a voice echoed again, low and sinister, You're playing a dangerous game, Clara. The truth has a way of unraveling everything. The room trembled, and Clara braced for an impact, knowing that her next move could change everything. Either freedom or eternal entrapment awaited her just beyond the mirror's surface. What would she discover if she plunged forward? Would she emerge victorious, or would the darkness swallow her whole? The moment Clara's hand connected with the warm surface of the mirror, a jolt of energy surged through her. It spread from her fingers, igniting a fire within her chest. The darkness shuddered, the grotesque figures recoiling as if burned by her light. Clara's pulse raced, the sensation like a thunderstorm crashing through her veins. Join me! She shouted, desperation mingling with an undeniable impulse. She knew this was her chance. But just as the figures stepped back, the voice of the woman behind her broke through the swirling chaos once more. Clara, don't! It's a trap! Don't trust it! Fear flashed in the woman's voice, but Clara's resolve felt stronger than ever. She had whispered the words of hope, and she needed to believe them. What had her life been without a fight? What was waiting for her on the other side of the mirror could be the revelation she craved. The shadows surged, reminding her of every doubt, every moment of weakness. They hissed and danced around her feet, tangling her ankles like vines. The pressure built in her chest, a suffocating grip, begging her to retreat. But that ignited resolve remained. Her determination swelled, drowning fear in a tide of defiance. I refuse to be afraid, she yelled, pushing harder against the mirror. The surface rippled like water disturbed by a stone, and the warmth reached deeper, seeping into her bones. Suddenly, something within the mirror shifted, unveiling glimpses of memories not yet shown to her, different paths, different choices, and the woman's face reflecting back pain and sorrow that were not just Clara's. They shared this burden, both trapped in illusions spun by shadows. Help me understand, Clara pleaded, aiming her call towards the woman. Help us both! The face in the mirror flickered, its features merging with her own, and for a brief moment, she felt the weight of another life, the pain of someone who had endured similar struggles. It was a connection, raw and bare, but instead of feeling frightened, it brought some comfort. But the shadows were relentless. their shrieks rising in a crescendo. You think you can conquer this? You think the truth is your ally? In their fury, they lunged toward her, a swirling vortex of despair intent on dragging her into the depths once more. Clara steeled herself, standing wide as she brought forth the warmth, pushing it out like a beacon. "Shatter!" she commanded, and the light erupted from her palm, illuminating the room with a fierce glow. The shadows howled, their twisted faces contorting into expressions of agony. The flickering light coiled around Clara, chasing the darkness back, piece by piece. But just as hope surged, a terrifying tremor rippled through the walls, as if the foundation on which everything was built was crumbling. The mirror's surface fractured, spreading cracks like spider webs. Each crack pulsed with the shadow's whispers, a horrifying promise that the darkness would return. "Clara!" the woman cried, her voice laced with panic. "It's not too late to turn back. You don't know what will happen." A knot formed in Clara's stomach as memories flashed through her mind. The woman's words rang in her ears like a warning bell, pulling at her heart. What if she was wrong? What if resisting only led to greater despair? Just then, the mirror shattered completely. Fragments rained down around Clara, each shard a glimmering piece of what might have been. Behind her, the woman's face warped with despair and determination, while the shadows screeched in triumph. Clara stood at the precipice of darkness and light, her choice looming larger than ever. The air changed, thick with fear and temptation. The moment hung suspended, waiting for a decision and answer to the question of truth entwined with the mystery of who they each truly were. Would the shards lead to freedom, or was it an illusion of hope casting a shadow of torment? The echoes of her past trembled in her mind, urging her to decide. Why had she chosen to fight? And what awaited her in this cavern of broken promises? In the distance, a soft voice called, "This is just the beginning, Clara. You must decide." The shards fell in slow motion, each one catching a glimmer of unearthly light before striking the floor in a symphony of chaos. Clara's heart hammered against her chest. Where once stood the mirror, now lay a jagged landscape of fragmented memories, each piece telling the story of choices she had yet to make. The shadowy forms recoiled, swirling around her like angry bees, stinging her resolve with whispers of self-doubt. "You are nothing without us," they hissed, their voices low and menacing. "You'll fall without the darkness to guide you." Clara could feel the weight of their words settling on her shoulders, pressing down like a heavy cloak. But she remembered the warmth surging through her veins, the flicker of hope radiating from within. She wouldn't let them control her anymore. "Leave me!" she yelled, her voice a raw echo in the stillness. "I am not afraid." With every word, light pulsed out from her, weaving threads of courage through the mist that wrapped around her. The dark figures staggered as if punched by an unseen force. They shrieked with fury, the sound clawing at Clara's resolve. "You think this is just light? You think it can save you?" In that moment, Clara's breath stilled. She scanned the debris-strewn floor, feeling a pull toward the shards. They whispered to her two slivers of choices, paths untraveled. A gut feeling told her they could provide answers, but was that what she truly wanted? The woman behind her took a step forward, urgency in her tone. "Clara, those shards are false promises. They will lead you to despair." But Clara was drawn to one shard in particular, a piece that shimmered with an intensity that beckoned her closer. It felt familiar, as if it held the very essence of who she was. As she bent down to pick it up, a jolt surged from her fingertips, sending ripples through space and time. In an instant, she was gripped by a vision. Images flashed her childhood home, the taste of her mother's palm on her cheek, laughter echoing through sunlit rooms. Then darkness seeped in, twisting her memories into a nightmare of regrets and shadows. Is this the truth? Clara thought, tears spilling down her cheeks. Or just another illusion? She was torn. The fear of knowing and the desire to understand battled fiercely in her heart. If she held the shard, would she grasp power, or seal her own fate? As if sensing her turmoil, the shadows surged again, stronger than before. "Clara, you belong with us. Join us." With a roar that drowned out the shadow's cries, she grasped the shard tightly in her palm. I'll face my truth, whatever it is, she declared. I will not be defeated by your lies. The moment hung, a fragile balance between light and dark. The shard pulsed with energy, sending shockwaves through the ground. The shadows writhed, and Clara felt the air pull away from her as if it knew the weight of her decision. Then, without warning, the ground collapsed beneath her feet. Clara's scream echoed as she fell, and for an instant she thought she heard the woman's voice, unwavering and fierce, "You are not alone, Clara." Plummeting into the void, she felt her heart racing, caught between dread and exhilaration. Would this lead her to the truth she sought? Or was she hurtling deeper into a nightmare? The darkness swallowed her whole, leaving only questions hanging in the air. What awaited Clara in the abyss? Would she find the answers, or would she be lost forever? The free fall felt endless, a spiral of dark infinity consuming Clara's senses. Her thoughts raced. Was she losing herself completely? The shadows that had taunted her shifted like ink in water, swirling and coiling, their mocking laughter echoing in the space around her. Just as despair clawed at her heart, a bright light pierced through the murk. It rushed toward her, growing larger, revealing itself as a portal, shimmering like a star on the verge of bursting. Clara reached for it, instinct driving her movements. Maybe this was the escape she needed. Maybe the answers would be on the other side. With a deafening roar, she plunged through the light, bracing for impact. Instead of hitting the ground, she landed softly, as if embraced by a fog that wrapped around her body like a warm hug. She blinked and found herself in a place so vivid it seemed unreal, a lush meadow filled with wildflowers, their colors alive and breathing. It contrasted sharply with the darkness she had just escaped. But even as Clara marveled at this new reality, a chill ran down her spine. The air felt thick, and shadows loomed on the edges of her vision. She could sense them, lurking just beyond the vibrant greenery. The whispers began again, soft and insidious. "You can't hide from us, Clara. We are always watching. Why won't you leave me alone?" she shouted, anger flaring within her. "What do you want from me?" The ground tremored slightly beneath her, as if reacting to her fury. The flowers trembled, petals shaking free from their stems. "You know the answer," they hissed in chorus. "We want you to embrace the truth, your truth." Clara clenched the shard in her hand, its warmth a reminder of her resolve. She felt a surge of courage and stepped forward, determined to confront whatever lay ahead. The meadow felt alive, each blade of grass quivered with anticipation, and the sun above blazed fiercely, igniting her spirit. Then, ahead, she spotted a figure, cloaked in shimmering silver. As she drew closer, a face emerged, a woman with deep-set eyes that glinted with familiarity. Clara gasped, recognition washing over her like a wave. "Mom?" The woman smiled, a bittersweet expression that captured both love and sorrow. "Clara, I've waited for you." A tremor jolted through Clara. Standing before her was the mother she had lost, the very essence of warmth and comfort that had once cradled her in childhood. But something felt off. Shadows draped around her form, flickering like flame. "This can't be real." "It is real, and it is not. You hold the power to shape what you see," her mother replied, the voice both inviting and cautionary. "But the truth is not without its costs. Are you ready to face what it reveals?" Clara's stomach twisted in tight knots. She wanted to leap into her mother's arms, to drown in the love she had missed. Yet, the looming shadows twisted and writhed, warning her. What might she uncover? "Clara?" The voice lurked in the periphery. "Every choice has its price." She felt the shard pulse against her palm, urging her to decide. Was she ready to take the leap into truth, a truth that could shatter even this fleeting moment of happiness? With a swallow, she took a step closer to her mother, heart racing. "I need to know." And just like that, darkness surged from the shadows, reaching for her, pulling tight as she felt an almost tangible tug, a reminder that not all truths lead to light. What darkness awaited Clara as she reached for the familiar? Would the reunion be her salvation or her downfall? Clara's heartbeat thundered in her chest, drowning out the whispers that twisted like snakes in the grass. The shadows creeped closer, wrapping around her ankles like chains, as if trying to drag her back into the void she had just escaped. But her mother stood there, embodying both hope and ominous warning. Clara, the woman's voice was honeyed but heavy. You must confront your fear. This is the only way. Every instinct in Clara screamed to retreat, to flee from the uncertainty that coiled around her, darker than the shadows themselves. But the warmth of the shard pulsed in her palm, igniting a desperate courage deep within her gut. I can do this, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Stepping closer, she reached out her trembling hand toward her mother. The shadows hissed louder, a cacophony of doubts that echoed in her mind. This isn't real, Clara shouted, desperation driving her words. You're just a figment of my imagination. But her mother's smile remained steadfast. Am I? Or is that the truth you fear? In that moment, the air thickened, suffocating her with tension. Clara could feel the warmth radiating from her mother, a sweet familiarity in an ocean of cold dread. What truth? She demanded. What do I have to face? The meadow around them flickered like a faulty light, moments of brilliance overshadowed by encroaching darkness. Face the memories. Face your guilt. Her mother's tone shifted, harder now, as if the weight of unspoken truths rested on her shoulders. You can't hide from what you've done. Clara's heart sank like lead. Memories flooded her mind, the arguments, the broken promises, and the stubbornness that had cost her the most precious relationship of her life. A knot twisted in her throat, choking her voice. She couldn't bear it. No, she croaked, moving back instinctively. I'm not ready. I can't. Suddenly, the shadows lunged at her, fierce and feral. One of them shot forward, elongated fingers wrapping around her wrist with a chilling grip. Clara gasped, fear coursing through her like ice. Stay with us, Clara, it hissed, its voice a serpent's whisper, dripping with malice. Face what you've buried, or be lost forever. No! Clara cried, yanking her arm back, but the shadows only tightened. Panic surged inside her. The warmth of her mother felt more distant now, eclipsed by the shadows closing in. Clara? Her mother's voice broke through the chaos. Remember your love. Remember the light. Clara's chest felt heavy, the shards of a past life weighing her down. But amidst the darkness, a fire ignited within her, a decision brewing in her heart. She wouldn't be defined by regrets. With newfound resolve, she thrust the shard forward. I choose my truth. The shadows recoiled at her declaration, shrieking like a wounded beast. Clara pushed through the pain, feeling the light of her mother surge with her, gleaming brightly. As the darkness retreated, the radiant glow enveloped her, warming her against the chill. But as the shadows faded, Clara's world began to quake violently. The meadow trembled, flowers flailed madly, and the sky above twisted into a cacophony of colors. Clara! Her mother yelled, her form flickering like a candle in the wind. You've made a choice, but choices come with consequences. Before Clara could grasp what was happening, the vibrant meadow dissolved, swirling into a tempest of vision and sound. Everything around her spiraled into chaos. Just as she thought she'd be lost again, the ground beneath her shifted, and a new scene exploded into view. Clara's breath caught, her eyes wide as she recognized the familiar streets of her childhood home. But they weren't empty. Figures moved amongst the shadows, faces that twisted between the familiar and the eerie. What awaited her in this place she once loved? Would she find freedom in confronting her past, or would it be the darkness that consumed her yet again? Clara's eyes widened, the haunting familiarity of the street wrapping around her like a shroud. This was her childhood, a tapestry of joy and pain woven tightly together. She could see herself small, carefree, and oblivious, playing on the front lawn, laughter ringing like a sweet melody. But the colors were muted, shadows creeping closer, taunting her. Face it, Clara! Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, compelling her forward. She took a shaky step, each footfall echoing with the weight of memories long buried. The street seemed alive, shadows twisting and curling around familiar essentials: the large oak tree, the old red mailbox, the cracked pavement. As she wandered deeper into this reverie, Clara felt a growing sense of dread. Faint whispers adorned the air, each one stirring regret that loomed over her. You left us, they wept. You ran away. Her throat constricted as bracing truth sank in. Could she confront these shadows, these whispers of guilt that had chained her to her past? A chill swept through her, but she steeled herself. I am not the child I once was, she whispered defiantly. I can face you. Suddenly, the shadows surged violently, forming into figures those she had lost, those she had abandoned. Friends and family members, faces she had tried to forget, loomed in the dim light. Clara, a voice said, trembling with hurt. It was her father, his expression pained yet filled with some strange sort of forgiveness. You think you can just forget? No! She cried, shaking her head. I didn't mean to leave. I was lost. Her heart raced, a tempest of emotions surging. They dived into the depths of her anguish, each figure representing a piece of her shattered soul. Your fear pushes us away, they all whispered in unison. Heal it. With every breath, fear clawed at her insides. Memories flooded back her father's disappointment, the unbearable weight of her mother's emotional absence after her husband's death. Tears streamed down her cheeks, let loose by the very memories she had sought to escape. I ran because I couldn't bear it, she confessed, voice breaking. Her words hung heavy in the air, echoing off the crumbling walls of her heart. This was the moment she had to confront her own fragility, her own choices. Yet here you are. Her mother's voice floated through the shadows, soft yet piercing. You can't run away from love, Clara. In the midst of turmoil, Clara caught sight of her mother, standing as a beacon amidst the chaos. The warmth of the lost simplicity acted like a balm over her heart. The figures wailed, shadows crackling as Clara inhaled deeply. I need to forgive, she stammered, her voice trembling. I need to forgive myself and you. I've fought the darkness long enough. The air around her grew thick, an electric tension looming. Shadows flickered in agitation, but Clara pressed forward. Her father stepped closer, face illuminated by the faintest glimmer of a smile. Let it go, Clara. We are not lost. You are stronger than the shadows. With those words echoing in her heart, she felt her resolve bloom into an undeniable force. Her fear began to soften into something understandable, a reminder, rather than a prison. With a sudden surge of clarity, Clara spread her arms wide, embracing every memory, every mistake, every ounce of pain. I forgive you. I forgive me. The moment erupted, a burst of light radiating from her core, engulfing everything in sight. The shadows screeched, writhing as they were burned away by the flame of her acceptance. It was liberating and terrifying all at once, a cleansing she never thought possible. Clara felt her entire being ignite, and for the first time, she didn't just hear the warmth, she felt it. She would no longer be bound by the lies of shame and regret. Suddenly, calm drenched the swirls of chaos, and Clara found herself back in the meadow, the sun blazing overhead. Her mother stood true before her, bathed in light, shadowy chains dissipating from her form. You faced it, Clara. You are free now. Tears spilled down Clara's cheeks, relief crashing over her like waves in the sea. I'm so sorry for everything. She felt lighter, raw emotions swirling like colorful leaves in the breeze. Forgiveness is the first step, her mother replied, a gentle smile warming her face. But remember, true strength comes from shaping your own path moving forward. With that, the vibrant meadow burst into full bloom, flowers dancing joyfully as if celebrating her victory. Clara drew in a breath full of newfound confidence, her heart racing with possibilities. She could transform the darkness into light, give weight to the lessons learned, and forge her own path. She had faced her demons. Now it was time to embrace her own future. As she turned to leave, shadows drifted reluctantly into the distance, their whispers fading as she stepped forward into the light, her heart lighter than ever, alive with hope and redemption. I will embrace my truth, she vowed, eager and ready for all that was to come. And with that resolve breathing life anew within her, Clara vanished into the warmth of possibility, leaving the shadows and echoes of the past behind as they faded once and for all. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. I want to hear from you in the comments. Flood the section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us keep this incredible community growing together.